Welcome to the Making of Me podcast. Today's guest is Daniel Lugo, a survivor, faith-driven leader, and author whose life has turned upside down at 18 by cardiac diseases, by Crohn disease diagnosis, of facing 8 major surgery or medical setback, a moment of despair. Daniel transformed his pain into purpose. He now inspires teen and young adults through his podcast, Out of the Grave, and his upcoming book, Born in the Storm. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Dan.
No, it's my pleasure being here, and thank you for inviting me into your podcast. And I'm glad that I can share my story too, because there are people out there that are gonna hear my story, are gonna be impacted in some way, and I'm grateful to be able to have an impact on someone's life.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. So, Daniel, what challenge shaped you to who you are today?
Wow, I think you read it pretty well. Crohn's disease
Yeah.
was the biggest one. Before that, I had seizures in my head, in my brain. So that was a medical process that I've gone through. But the hardest one that was definitely the Crohn's disease. I remember the day that not the day that they diagnosed, but when I first went to the doctor, he told me you either have Crohn's disease or colon cancer. So in my head, I was like, I have no idea what Crohn's disease is. And the word cancer is already big enough. So in my head, I was running crazy because I didn't know what to think. What I choose? Either Crohn's or colon cancer. In the end, the doctor decided that it was Crohn's. A lot of medical malpractice went through, and I landed in the hospital in an emergency situation. It was a situation where I almost died. I was able to recover from that, but I lost pretty much anything. I remember when I noticed myself in the mirror, I couldn't even recognize myself. I had to ask questions that only I would know. So it was really difficult. And it's not only one surgery that I went through. It's been 8 surgeries in the past 3 years. So, and in 2025, I had like 4 out of the 8.
Wow.
So it was a really challenging situation, but it has turned from being a bad situation to being a great one, because I learned from that storm, and that storm has led me to the person that I am today. And if you were to ask me, are you better now or were you better back then? I will 100% answer that I'm better now. There's no way that I will be the same person that I am today if I didn't went through what I went through. So that's a
Wow.
little backend of my story.
Wow, that was really, really amazing. And the fact that, yeah, just hearing the stories and trying to imagine what the situation would have been like, it's crazy what I'm just feeling. Yeah. So you have actually endured more like 8 surgery and countless smaller ones while trying to compete or complete college. How did you summon the strength and keep moving forward despite the physical and the emotional?
I think the funny answer, but I think the it's a straightforward one. It's because I'm stubborn. I'm really stubborn, and I like to, it was I started college the first semester. That's when everything happened. The first surgery happened, and like a couple of weeks after the semester started. So I was like, I'm gonna finish this. I'm not gonna finish this, but I'm gonna give it my best. I'm gonna give the best grades that I can. I'm gonna get better than what I was before. And that's what I did. It was basically being stubborn. I got out of one surgery, I was able to recover physically and mentally, and then I got into another one, and it was just another one after another one. I think the longest time I went without a surgery was a year and a half, and I think that was between the first surgery and the second surgery. The rest after that, they were pretty continuous. So for me, I think what summoned everything was, I don't know. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I think God chose me because I was able to, interpret better the situation. And I'm stubborn. I'm not going to hide the fact, right? And I was going to be able to get through it.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Daniel. Also, Daniel, our faith seems to have play a central role in your journey. How did it anchor you during the darkest moment, and how has it shaped the person you become today?
Well, my faith is the biggest reason that I am here. I cannot hide the fact that without faith, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't have faith that everything will get better, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, sharing what I know, what I learned, right? This would be a whole lot different. I remember that in one of my classes in the middle, I was recovering from the first surgery. They asked me to read the book of Job. which is in the Bible, Old Testament. And from from that moment to now, that's my favorite book of the Bible, right? Because it talks about exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I needed. It was the story of someone that had everything, right? They took it down from him, everything, and
Yeah.
he just stood up there and he took it on the chin. He still believed in God, and in the end, not only God thanked him for believing in him, but he gave him double of what he had because his trust on God. So that was a story that really hit me, and it was a story that mattered at the time. A story of the Bible might hit you different now than it did a year ago. But for me at the time, the book of Job, and it still is my favorite book of the Bible because it is something
Yeah.
that we all go through. It doesn't take the matter of the fact that everybody has their struggles. No matter if you're a millionaire, a billionaire, a trillionaire, right? Everybody has their struggles. They might be physical, they might be mental, they might be psychological. So everybody has their struggles, right? And that book of the Bible really showed me that I needed to hold my faith and that I knew that everything was going to be better. That those challenges just made me stronger. And God shapes you by doing that. He doesn't want you, I don't mean by this that God wants you to suffer, but what God wants is to build you. And in order to build you, you need to go through those moments because you don't learn in the
Yeah.
happy moments. You learn the hard ones.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. It's very lovely, especially when you make reference of all the stories of Job in the Bible. The fact that he went through a whole lot of stuff. He has a whole lot of things. He has almost everything. He lost everything. Yeah, the story was really crazy, being that it's an unpistol story that actually more like shares it ups and down, how he was able to overcome it, how he later more like got everything. Yeah, it was really, really encouraging. And the fact that you could see yourself in the picture of it, and the fact that you could relate, and that actually give you mental strength to, yeah, keep going. Being that sometimes some certain kind of trait and some certain kind of will towards doing what we do demand some, yeah, some route that we might not be able to explain, but in all of it, God has a purpose for it, and that was really amazing.
That's the
Yeah.
interesting thing, is that
Yeah.
you're never going to know why. You're going to think,
Yeah.
okay, I just went through this, I learned this, but you never know the reason why you went through it. Only God knows,
Yeah. Thank you.
right?
So you now host our Out of Degree podcast and writing Born in the Storm. What motivated you to share your stories publicly, and how do you hope it impact others?
What motivated me was that I could impact someone's life, right? Words have a different kind of power that they can share my story in different ways, and people are gonna hopefully read the book and listen to the podcast. And with each single guest and with each single chapter that I wrote myself and I'm editing right now, is that they see what I learned. They see the challenges that I went through. The book explains what I went through in details, things that I've never shared to my family even, right? It's gonna share all those details and the things that I learned. So that inspired me. And also, I wanted to share how God has made me the person that I am today, and that without Him, I wouldn't be here. And that's important to me because it doesn't matter to me if you are not a Christian and you don't want to read about God, right? It's fine if you don't want to. But I have to share the biggest reason that I'm here. If it wasn't for him, I could have easily died in the first surgery. I was really close to dying. So if I were gonna say that I'm gonna ignore the fact that the biggest reason that I'm here is my faith, just because to sell more books, I wouldn't be doing my job as a Christian, and I would be doing the people a disservice because they might see the book and they might feel inspired to go to church. They might feel inspired to buy a Bible, right? That's all the impact that we can share. And I think you feel the same thing because you are doing a podcast. You're doing a podcast that shares people's stories, right? And that's gonna shape someone out there. We don't know who, but it's gonna shape someone out there. And that's my hope. If I'm able to help one person with my book or with the podcast, I'm happy because I'm really happy when I help others. I prefer to do that than anything in the world.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Daniel. So looking back, Daniel, who or what were the key influence that helped you turn your struggles into his comeback story?
Well, the who, I believe that answer might be God, but other than God, I'm gonna, he's the biggest reason why. But what motivated me other than him was my family, because I wanted to prove that I can get up and get back stronger. I could prove to my little sister that didn't matter the challenges that I went through, that I could get up. And if she went through something like that, she could get up. Because if I failed, everybody failed. It was on me to put all the chips in my shoulder and carry it home. It was on me to push past my limits so that I could get better. Because this house, it might sound a little selfish, but I'm the central pillar of the house. And at that moment, even more. Because, if I went down, right, if I fell into depression, I was feeling sad. There were a lot of thoughts in my head, but I couldn't
Hmm.
let them see it. I could feel it, but I couldn't let them see it. That's two different things. Because I wanted
Yeah.
them to see that I was getting better, that I was getting improvement. But inside, there were some thoughts inside that was like, oh, is this gonna end? When? God, why? But to them, I was showing my best face possible. Because if I didn't, everything will go down. All the dominoes will
Yeah.
fall after that. So it was for me that motivated me to keep going. My little cousins, my uncles, my aunts, some of my family members tell me that I'm their hero. I was like, I'm no hero, because without them, without God, I wouldn't be here. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be the person that I am today.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I'm glad they were actually more like there for you at that particular point, and thank you for encouraging them to. Owing to the feedback, they're actually more like your disposition, why the treatment was going on, because it's easier for them to have given up or almost faint when those things was happening. But thank you for your cheerfulness during those period, and it was really amazing. So for young adults or teenagers facing similar insurmountable challenge, what practical advice will you give them to help them cultivate hope and resilience?
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Even though you don't see it now, you have to fight it. You have to give all of yourself. And if you fail once, get back up. Try again. If you fail again, see a different path. But don't fall on the traps of life. There are bad things out there that, even though they might seem to help in the short term, they will not help in the long term. That's the thing I will tell to people. Do the things that you love. Do the things that make you happy. It doesn't matter if you feel weak or if you don't feel like it, because it's going to help you. Even watch sports. I don't know what makes you happy, right? Whatever
Yeah,
makes you happy. And if you feel depressed and you need to talk to somebody, do it. If you want to talk to me, DM me or anything, just do it, because I've been there before. And what I will tell to people, and I'm going to reiterate, is that don't fall on the big traps. Shows these scenarios that, even though they seem good, they are not. Don't fall on those and fight. Fight until you can't. You're gonna rest when you die. That's what I will tell to people. Something other that changed my life other than my faith and my stubbornness was the fact that I could push myself always, always pushing. And
yeah,
my family,
amazing.
even now, they tell me, hey, you should slow it down. And it's like, no, there's no slowing down. If I wanna make the podcast better, bigger, I have to work. If you wanna get out, hey, you have to work. There's an analogy from Plato that I read in one of my classes. We are all in a cave, right? There's light from the sunlight, but where you are, you cannot see it. What you can see is some shadows that are being portrayed by people on the other side of the fire. You cannot see the fire. You can only see the shadows. You cannot even see the people that are around you.
Yeah, so
If you
true.
get free from that, you're gonna see the light of the fire, and at first, it's gonna shock you. But once you get used to it, you're gonna get past the fire, and you're gonna see all the things that were distracting you down there. And as you keep going, you're gonna see the light outside. And once you go outside, it's gonna shock you again. But once you get used to it, it's gonna be a brand new knowledge, a brand new world for you. Because now you are in that process. You learn. You went from being down there in the struggle to now being in the light. They call that knowledge in philosophy. I will compare that to life. At first, for example, you're gonna try to go to the gym, for example, and you're trying to lose weight. At first, your body's gonna feel so sore that you don't want to go to the gym. You have to
Mhm.
get pushed because you're gonna get
Yeah.
used to that soreness, to that pain. Once you get past that pain, you're gonna get better, 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 and better until you feel that going to the gym is for you. It's not working against you, right? It's something that you enjoy, that you know is good for you. So I will go with that analogy, and I will love to tell people to go search that analogy so that they can read it themselves. Is The Allegory of the Cave by Plato.
Thank you for the recommendation. Let's keep pressing on. There's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much. Daniel, if you could actually leave one message for your listener, a legacy in a single thought, what will it be?
There's hope, even though there might not seem like there is. Fight
Yeah.
until you have no more energy to spend. Fight for your
Yeah.
future. Don't worry about the past. Focus on what you can become. Focus on learning from your mistakes, from your downfall. So
Yeah. Thank you.
be hopeful on what you can do. Be hopeful that there's a future.
Thank you so much. So then, for my audience who want to connect with you, who want to reach out to you, and who want to kind of get your book and be on your podcast too, how can they reach out to you, and where is the best platform to do this?
They can reach me out at any platform. There is the Lugo official. So the LUGOOFFICIAL, the Lugo official. They can reach me out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. They can also reach me out through Podmatch if they want to be a guest on my show. And they can also do it through Instagram. I think that's easier for everybody as well.
Yeah.
And I on Instagram I'm dropping videos about the things that I learned, funny things, gym scenarios that happen to us in normal life. So if you wanna follow me, go ahead and like it. And if you need my help in any kind of way, don't bother, just ask. You'll just DM me. Send me a message. That's no trouble to me. I would love to help as many as possible. And it is my duty as a follower of Christ and as a follower of God to give you my full best, all my abilities. So just send that message because I'm here to help you.
Thank you, Daniel, for sharing your inspiring journey of faith, resilience, and purpose. Daniel, thank you for the exploring your stories. It's really a pleasure having you on the show.
It was my pleasure being invited. Thank you so much for bringing me here. It's a pleasure
Yeah.
to share my story and knowing that somebody out there is going to listen to it and be inspired by it.